Where to this computer? All right. Welcome to week 6, which I thought was week 7, which is pretty embarrassing to me. Because as I was prepping to do tonight's class, I went to pull up the week 6 code and realized I did it last week. All those inserts, updates, deletes, we did last week. We're supposed to do this week. So this week, we're just going to design a database from the ground up. And I don't know what we're going to do yet. So I'm going to come with an idea for designing a database next few minutes, because I'm trying to think of like what would be interesting to do.
Can I request?
Sure, I'll take requests.
Can it have multiple layers?
What do you mean, like layers?
Like on Workbench, it says like if one's connected as a primary key, but then there's another one connected to that.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. We'll do those tables. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's do. I have an old chestnut that I dug up every once in a while. It's a database that tracks teachers and students at a school. So we'll just make that database. No, Bob, I'm not doing family search tonight. That's just not on the cards. I'm not gonna try to figure that out. I don't know if I ever told you guys, but genealogy is not my friend. My dad was born in 1939 in Yugoslavia, which doesn't exist anymore. And he was orphaned at the age of 2. And my mom's family is born in East Germany, which doesn't exist anymore. And she was the first generation here. And we all lived in New Jersey for a while. So years ago, I went to the Family History Center, which is now the Family Search Center in Utah, and I told them my story, and they said the 3 hardest places to get information out of are Yugoslavia, East Germany, and New Jersey. And they're like, we'd really like to help you, but we can't. And then last year, I contacted Ancestry.com, and I'm like, hey, I got $5,000 for you to find my family. And they're like, yeah, we can't do that because Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore. So genealogy is not my friend. I probably could do something in East Germany. I even went so far as you ever watch that show Finding Your Roots on PBS? They had a big thing. Well, it's a good show. If you don't watch it, it's really good. All the famous people have their genealogy done for free because they can't afford to do it, right? But this year the guy's like, hey, you know what? We're gonna find a regular person and do it for them. And I wrote my story. I'm like, hey, here's my story. And I was waiting for the email back. I went, we can't help you. But they oh, really? So yeah, I haven't heard back from them. So I even did my DNA for Ancestry, and like the closest I've got is like an 8th cousin, maybe. Yeah, I got nothing. I'm just another funny story. I got Thomas and Stitches here. I have another funny story about my dad. So do you remember the movie Superman Returns that came out a couple of years ago? In Superman Returns, they actually gave the chemical formula for kryptonite. 3 years later, they discovered it on Earth, 35 miles from where my dad was born. And I'm like, Dad, do we need to talk about stuff? And he's like, nothing that I can talk to you about, because I was convinced for most of my life that my dad was a spy, because he would just get random phone calls from Yugoslavian people and talk to them for an hour. And then I'd ask him what it was. He's, oh, it's nothing. I'm like, you talked to them for an hour. Oh, they were interviewing me about something. I'm like, what? Oh, nothing. I'm like, you were a spy, Dad. Just admit it. You like, if you know anything about Yugoslavian history, like he went to school with Tito's son and was like best friends with Tito's son.
Oh wow.
So, but he also played soccer with Pele. But anyway, so that's my dad. Anyway, so yes, I will do a many layer table tonight. We'll have fun with that. If I don't hit the layers that you want, let me know and I'll make it happen. But we're gonna do one-to-many joins, many-to-many joins. We're gonna build all the keys ourselves. We're gonna see what happens, and we'll see how big we can get it in the next 45 minutes. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, make sure this is opening.
Can I just say how pleased I am with the background that you chose?
Oh, you're welcome. Yes, it is one of my favorite ones. Usually when I'm in my real job, and not this is my real, this is my fun job. This is my pastime job. I use this on particularly boring meetings. So I'm like,
Nice.
yeah. And I'll look to the camera like, but yeah, so let me go ahead and share my screen here. And oh, look, I'm open to, for the first time, I'm open to the right thing. You don't get to see me play Magic the Gathering. All right. Because that's open here. I got that going right there. Okay, back to this. Okay. So we're going to make a database tonight that is going to track. I work for a school and we want to track what teachers and what classrooms and what students and what classes the teachers teach. So let's start with a teacher table. Okay, so we're going to create a teacher table here. Okay. So teacher. Keeping in mind that tables are never pluralized. We have a teacher ID. We're going to keep it an int because I'm a lazy developer. We're going to do a last name and first name. And first name. Would I put the course that the teacher taught in the teacher table? Yes or no?
I would say no,
And why wouldn't I put it there?
because you're gonna have multiple teachers or multiple courses and multiple teachers. And
Right. It's the rules of normalization. I will have one teacher that can teach many classes and many classes taught by one teacher. So it'd never have their anything identifying the class that they taught here. Okay. So let's just we'll go there and I'll add columns as we're going along. So now I'm going to do the courses class. Another table. And we're going to do course or do class, course, because we want course. COURSE. Okay. And we're going to have a course ID and we're going to have a course name. And we're going to have a description. DSC, because I want to misspell things. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna put here. So now I wouldn't put the teacher ID for the same reason. So I need to make a many-to-many join. And because the way this works here, we got this cool feature here. I can take this, creating a many-to-many relationship, and click both of these, and there's our many-to-many relationship. Okay. So I've got teacher and course, and then teacher has course. So that means I can have one teacher teach many courses. You know, one teacher could teach English and English 1, English 2, English 3. And then what I'm going to do, I think, is I've got the course. So sidebar, what we're going to do tonight is you're going to see how I design a database, because I do a lot of talking to myself when I do this out loud. Because this is how I work through things. And if you ever get into this, you're going to find yourself doing the same thing. You talk to yourself out loud while you're doing this. You're like, would I put that there? No, because it doesn't belong there. So if I start like forgetting that I'm actually teaching a class at this point in time, you know, someone just like throw up a comment or you know, ask questions, because I'll just kind of barrel on with this. And I want you guys to make sure you guys understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So Emery, is this what you're talking about? The layer, the two tables talking to each other through a third table? With the foreign key, this is a foreign key and this is a foreign key. So they're both foreign keyed to here. And I'm about to foreign key something else to here. So the thing about foreign keys, and I'll bring this up now while we're looking at it. When you guys have tables with foreign keys and you're trying to input data into those tables, right? So let me add this one here. So I'm going to do a table called grade level. Grade. Okay. And I'm going to do here, I'm going to do grade level ID. And I'm going to do grade level name. Okay. And do I want to do a grade level? Does that make sense? Because a course has to have a grade level. So this is what I'm going to do. I have a choice here. I could put the grade level here with the course, or I could put the grade level here with the teacher has course. Because here I'd have like English, math, science, chemistry, whatever it is. Do I want a grade level in here? I don't know that I do. I don't know that I want a grade level in here. Okay, let's get rid of that tape. I don't think that's gonna work. I'll put it over here. We'll come back to it, I think. Okay, so we've got teacher, we've got course, we got teacher has course. What else do we need here? I think we need to know what classroom the course is in. I think we need to know that. We know what classroom the course is in. So let's make a table called classroom. I haven't even talked about the students yet, so that's coming up. So classroom. Okay, we're gonna spell it right because we like spelling things right. And we're gonna have classroom ID. And then we're gonna have floor, and we're gonna have room number. And we're gonna have occupancy. Okay, that works. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to foreign key classroom to teacher has course, because I need to know what room because the teacher, so this is an interesting thing. Do I want to assign the teacher to a room, or do I want to assign the class to a room? Because one room might be used by many different teachers to teach different courses, depending on the school, right? So we may not have a world where the teacher is assigned to the specific classroom. So what do you guys think? Should we assign the chat classroom to the teacher here? Or should we attach the classroom to the course? I'm thinking doing it here. I'm thinking of doing it this way.
Would it also be dependent on the schedule?
That's a good point. So if we're doing it by the schedule, then we'd almost have to do the classroom by the course, because this is what the schedule is going to be determined by, what's being taught when and by what. So let's see. Oh, that was what I wanted. Is this what I wanted? Nope, did the wrong way. There we are. Okay, so we've got, so that's also a good question here. So now you said the class schedule, so we need to know when that class is being taught. So we need to add a period table. Class period. Yeah.
Could you put, instead of making a period table, could you just put it in the course table, like a time?
So that's an interesting question. So that's an interesting question. So we could do that. I could definitely go in here and just put a column called period and time, right?
Or
I
even
could totally do that.
the course table itself instead of the teacher has.
I wouldn't put it here. I don't think I would put it here, because I would have to link the teacher and the course of the classroom to the time it was being taught, because I need all that information together. So it would definitely have to go in this table here. I could just make a column here and put time there, but there's a reason. The main reason I wouldn't do that, and I don't know if I've gone over this with you guys, the main reason I wouldn't do that is because I don't trust the people inputting the data to put it in right. Because so let's say so Tony, who's a new hire, is inputting the new class schedule, and we live in a world where we have a 7-period day in the classroom, right? And Tony's been up for a while. It's 4:30. It's quitting time. He hadn't had his second monster yet, and he fat fingers half the classes for 8th period. right?
Okay,
And
yeah.
then we do search, and all of a sudden, did the district change things? So we're assuming that we're going to go through a front end application. And just send the classroom to the teacher in the course that we give it. Hang on, we'll get to that question in a second. So you got to imagine there's going to be a front end application for people to input data in, right? And if we have a table called class period, we can do a drop down menu that's linked to this table, and they would just drop down and choose the course period that way. So it gives the biggest thing is we give a cleanliness of data, because now we don't have the possibility of someone typing something in wrong. The same thing for searching, right? And the same thing is for searching is if someone searches for it and they fat finger like 45, they're not going to find anything. The other issue is, so let's say we do class period here with class period ID, we have period number. And then we have start time and end time, right? And okay. So let's go down the path of, let's say we put everything here. We put period number and start end time in this course here, right? And let's say for some reason, halfway down the school year, the times change. Like something happens and they decide that the classes are 15 minutes longer now. Or like, let's say this is going to last us for years and years and years, right? So let's say we program this in, and it's a month before school starts, and we have 500 courses, and they come back and say the periods are 10 minutes longer. So then if we had 500 courses here, we'd have to change 500 times the times, as opposed to if it's just here, we change it one time. Does that make sense? We want to,
Yes,
go ahead.
in concept.
Yeah, in concept. So the thing is, when we program our databases, we want to make sure that when things change, we have to do the least amount of change to the database to compensate for them. Right? We never want to change the structure of our tables to compensate for a change, unless there's absolutely no other way to do it. Right? So like here, let's say for course, right? Some people might think for a course table to do this. Let's do course 2 here. Okay, so they do course ID, and then they would do science. And we'd spell it right. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, why am I all over the place here? Okay, science. And then, and then we do math. And we go through here and like hard code every course that we'd need to do, right? But the problem is, what if we add or remove a course? We'd have to go and change the actual columns in the table. As opposed to doing this, where if I add a course or remove a course, I just have to add a row. Is that making sense?
Yeah, I
Okay.
get what you're saying here.
I think the best example of like when you don't have a choice when to add a column. I don't know if I've talked to you guys about this. If I have, you'll just hear it again. So let's say I'm designing this database in like 1980, right? And here under teacher, I have home phone number, right? And that's great because everyone has a home phone number, right? And then we've got this database that's running for years and years, and it's like 1997 now. And everyone starts getting these things called like cell phone numbers or mobile numbers, right? So now we have no choice at this point but to add a value here, because this is something new that we could not have foreseen. So add cell phone. Okay, so we got the cell phone, another 5 years passed, and all of a sudden everyone's calling an email address that we didn't know about 5 years ago. And we need to track everyone's email address. So we have to go in here and add email address. because it's not something we could foresee, and we had to change this because it was something we didn't see happening. And now we delete home phone number because no one has those anymore. You know, so in cases like that, when there's technology changes or big giant changes like that, we need to be changes to the actual structure of the tables because it's something we couldn't foresee happening. When it's something like add or remove as courses, changing times and class periods, adding or removing, like let's say this year we've got 7 periods in a class day, but next year the district changes to we're going to 8 periods and split schedules, right? So we want to make the changes in the rows, not in the columns. Can you just assign the classroom to the teacher and the course? And so we could, that's a choice. And it depends on how the school is made up. So if we were in a school where a teacher gets assigned a room and it never changes, we can absolutely assign the teacher to a classroom and then the courses that way. The way I'm building this is teachers travel between classrooms. In a larger school, some classrooms are used by 2 or 3 teachers, right? So that's how we're planning. That's how we're building this one out. Okay. Can I move this over? I'll move this over. Oh, cool. All right. Teacher class has course, we had class period. Is there anything else we need to know about the teacher, the class course, the class period, and the period? Okay. So I think we're good on that front. I don't think else we need to. Think there's anything we're missing here? We got classroom.
Can you
Okay.
open the tab on the very left near the middle? It says, I think you have catalog open. Like on the very left of your screen, it has the catalog tab, but right next to it, down towards the middle. Go downwards.
Oh, here,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, what does the layers one look like so far?
Oh,
So that's all just one layer.
I'm not sure what you're talking about with layers. This is.
I think I just did mine wrong because I have some tables that have like 3 layers. I've just got to just continue the way you're going.
I'm not sure. I'm just curious on how you do layers in a table.
I'm embarrassed, so I'm not gonna answer that question.
No, I mean, I'm genuinely curious. That don't be embarrassed. I mean, we were literally sent to this earth by Heavenly Father to make mistakes. That's why we're here. We're here to screw up. Because if we don't make mistakes, we do not learn. Right? I personally have made it my life's mission to make as many mistakes as I can to be a cautionary tale for everyone who meets me. You know? So don't feel bad about making mistakes. I mean, I'm curious about this layer thing now. I want to poke it until it makes layers. I've honestly never even looked over here to this thing. I ignore this over here. So I'm just really curious. I can't even make, how do you make layers happen?
I think mine happened because I didn't have the has a table. So I just, like, for example, I would have done teacher straight to the classroom, then the classroom
Okay.
was like 2 others connected to it. And then,
Okay. Yeah, don't be bad. Don't embrace your mistakes. Embrace mistakes. They make you human. And so far, always admit your mistakes at work. Because if you hide stuff, people will use it against you. Always make it. I'm unusual, but I'm happy because if I make a mistake during the day, that means I learned something. And I like learning things. But I learned something today. You know what I learned last night? I learned last night that Chewbacca actually had lines in the Star Wars movies. Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca, actually had verbal lines that they dubbed over with the Wookiee growl, so they could have the conversations while filming. That's how they knew what Chewbacca was saying. Because Peter Mayhew, who was 14 foot tall and British, was like, "Han, I don't think that's the right thing to do. What do you know, you stupid ape?" You know? And then you'd hear for the thing. Anyway, learn something new every day, even if it's not important. All right, so we got this here. We got the class period. That's looking good here. Teacher has courses. I don't think. I'm gonna add a column here. I'm gonna add a phone number column here because each classroom has a phone. So do this phone. Okay. There's that occupancy, teacher has course. Okay. I think that's good. So let's move on to students now. Anyone see anything missing here? No, nothing in the chat. Okay. So let's go on to those students. So make student table. All right. So we're gonna have student ID. We're gonna have student name, last name. We're gonna have first name. All right. And we'll leave it at there for now. We'll have email address and phone number. Why not? Because it's 2020 email address. Just leave that. The phone number, sure. Phone. Okay. All right. So we want to know what class the student is in. So what we need to do, oh, we know what we need to do here. Okay. So this is interesting. Okay, here's fun. So in teacher, my primary key is ID teacher, classroom's ID classroom, class period, course, all these. What's my primary key in teacher as course? It defaulted one. It made one by default. What's the primary key? What's the primary key?
There's two of them. Why is that normal to have two primary keys?
So yes, so that is, it actually can be very normal to have two primary keys. It's one primary key, but two columns make up the primary key. Okay. Remember, the primary key has to be unique, right? And so if these two columns are the primary key, by default, teacher ID and teacher course, they're probably going to, they probably, if we're thinking about it, ultimately will not be unique because that teacher is going to teach that course many times. So, so that's not going to work so good. And actually, I just thought of something we need to add here. We need to add year, school year. Because, actually, we're going to do this. We're going to have a table called school year because our school's going to be open for a while. And then we're going to do school year and then years. Okay. And then we're going to do this. All right. Now, here we not only have the teacher, the course, the classroom, and the class period, we also know what year it was taught in. So now we have a nice historical table going on here, right? But this is not going to be unique. So we do need to make one more change here. We need to add a column and call this teacher course ID. And then get rid of that, and then do that. All right. So because I added school year here, this was no longer going to be unique because Mr. McGillicuddy's been teaching English for 14 years in this school, and he's going to, these two are going to be the same year after year after year, right? So by adding this ID, now we have a unique ID for this. And also the thing was, we were not going to be able to do this without that ID because we have to deal with students in the classes, and there's that. So now we have a table here that tells me what students are in what course the teacher teaches. Did I lose anybody? Is everyone still with me?
Is that has a created by a many-to-many relationship?
Yes. Yes. Because one student would be many classes and one class will have many students. So we have to have the many-to-many relationship here. We cannot have tables. We can't have two tables connected together. We can never directly connect student with this table. It wouldn't work. We can never connect directly to teacher with classroom because it would never work. We have to have that middle table there to allow for that many-to-many connection. Right? Because it like we'd have to have in here, we'd have like for teacher and course, we'd have to have course 1, course 2, course 3, course 4, course 5 underneath the teacher table, or teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3 under the course table, and we wouldn't know where to stop. Making sense?
So just to clarify, let's see, the student is connected to the teacher has course through the teacher has course has student. Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is the thing. So like, you know, when we have a table like this, we start. So now let's take a quick step. Does everyone understand the ERD as it's been designed so far? Okay.
I
So-
have a question about the like how a teacher has course would look visually.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, so you had like, I don't know, 15 teachers or something in your
Uh-huh.
school. Would all 15 of those teacher IDs be in teacher has course?
If they had a course they were teaching that year, yeah.
Okay.
And they'd probably show up multiple times because one teacher is probably teaching 5 or 6 different classes.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So Mr. McGillicuddy teaches English 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 7th hour, and teaches lit 2nd and 6th. Right. So so one teacher would have up to 7 entries in this table per year.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 8 tables. Okay. So at this point in time, technically I could be finished with my ERD for class. So let's take a step back for the last 20 minutes here and talk about the case studies. Okay. Part of your final project is to design case studies based off your diagram. So when I'm looking at this, a case study is what is the valuable way I could pull data out of here that would give me something that I would need to look at, right? So for example, I would want to know, I could ask what teachers taught 9th grade English in the 2022-2023 school year, and it would give me that information. It would be in this table, this table, and this table. It'd be in these 4 tables. I can get that information from. So I could say, I want to know who taught what specific subject during what specific school year. And I could pull that information out. Okay. I could see what teacher had the most students in one class last year. So I'd have this here with the student count, right? Per course, and I would just write a query that told me how many students were in each teacher's course. Everyone still following? Okay. What other ways could I have to present the data that would oh, you know what, I need to do this here.
Course. Oh, the student's grade level. Okay.
I had a grade level here because I need to know what grade the students are in. Did you have did someone have another kind of case study we could pull out of this?
You could find out what the student's schedule was in his junior year or whatever.
Yep. Absolutely. Could find out, you know, what was the specific schedule during the year and what teachers did they have. Right. I could see how many 9th graders took pre-calc in the 2023-2024 school year. I could see how many different science classes we offered last year. I could see I could see what teacher didn't teach in the last 5 years. I could do, any number. I could say like, so that's the point. The whole purpose of a database is how do I get the data out and give it to my end user in a valuable way, right? So yeah. So when you're designing when you're doing your final project, for those of you doing final projects, the ERD is the first thing that you do. Okay. The second thing you do is come up with your case studies. As you're looking at your ERD, what data can I pull out of here? How can I present the data that's going to be of use to the people using this database? Okay. And you write those down. And then you start making the insert statements, put your data in. And the reason you want to do it that way is because when you give me the case studies and I run them, they need to have results. So if you have a case study to see how many students were in Mr. McGillicuddy's French class in the 97-98 school year, you need to have data in there that would pull out. So you need to make sure you input data that does that, right? Now, I will warn you about this now. When you're inputting data into your tables, like these are all foreign keys, right? And remember, a foreign key is a key that says, if it's not in this table, you cannot put it here. If it's not in this table, you cannot put it here. If it's not in this table, you cannot put it here. So when you're inputting your data with your insert statements, you got to start with all the ancillary tables. You cannot put into this table first. You can't put into this table first. You can't put into this table first. You have to start with this table, this table, this table, this table, and this table. And then you can do the inside tables. Because if you try to put a student in here and have a grade level that doesn't exist here, you're gonna get an error saying foreign key can't be found. Any questions on this?
So what would be the process of creation or inputting data into the tables? Would you do like teacher, class period, course, school year, and classroom first, and then do student, or which?
As long as it's a foreign, as long as the table has nothing foreign keyed to it, you can start with it. So if I were putting data, I would just start over here and do all these tables first. I would do grade level, classroom. I would just write all the code and do it all at once to insert the data. As long as these, see how these don't have any foreign keys attaching to them? They're all foreign keyed to another table. So these can be done first. This is the last table you'll input into in this diagram. This will be the second to last, this will be the third to last, and everything else will be the first. Right? So once you've got it to this point, if I haven't shown you this yet, if you go to a database, to Forward Engineer, and just follow all these prompts and click next and export everything into there. Thank you very much. Here is the code to create everything. So guess what? You don't have to write all this nonsense. It does it for you. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you just save it, copy to clipboard, and bring it over and run it, and you've created your database. So when you send me your project, I need you to take a screenshot of this. Don't send me your MWBs. I can't open them because my version may not be this. If we're not running the exact same version of MySQL, I can't open the ones that you send me. Right? Send me a screenshot of this. I thought there was a way to export it out. There used to be a way to, I don't remember, there used to be a way, there's somewhere here that lets you just take snapshots of this and send that out. But, then send me this code. I need this code as well. Okay. Save it to file, zip it up, send that to me as well. And then I need your insert statements and I need your case study statements. And then the other things I talk about, it's in the video from 2 weeks ago. I have the list in the bottom. So I need the ERD, I need the actual create statements, I need the insert statements, I need the case studies, I need the mock-up of the front end, and a video presentation and or what do you call it? PowerPoint presentation explaining your project. Did I freak anyone out and they're not doing a project anymore?
I was gonna say, are we? I assume we're gonna be talking more about all this stuff as
Oh
we
yeah.
go throughout the
So
last
next,
half of the course.
right. So next week I have code to show you about case statements, and that will actually be the next week. This week should have been a code week, but I did the code last week, so we just did this week, which is fine. Because I was supposed to have done this like a couple weeks ago, but with my schedule this semester, it is all kablooey. So next week we're going to do a little bit about, we're going to design another database, and we're going to talk about case statements. The week after that, which weeks 8, 9, and 10, it's all going to be workshops for ERDs. So I will either come and present an ERD that I've been working on, and then we'll troubleshoot together, or you guys will present your ERDs and we'll think tank them and get them functioning and working really well. So weeks 8, 9, and 10 will either be super short or super long. But they're all gonna be troubleshooting, creating ERDs, working through them together, giving the best, talking about normalization of data, how to best do it. And then after week 10, there won't be any more Wednesday night meetings, and they'll be all on demand. So I'll have my schedule open, so it'll be all one-on-one meetings to fix out the ERDs. Because
That sounds good.
because I'll still be available Wednesday night. So if you want to meet Wednesday night one-on-one, that's the night we'll meet. I'm totally cool with that. The funny thing, the way this course runs is I get all the code that you need plus tons of stuff that you don't need for the course done by week 7, and then week 7, 8, and 9 in the coursework are the code that we've covered, because like we're going to cover case statements next week, and I think they're in week 8 or 9. Week 10 is indexes, week 11 is fragmentation, and week 12 is views. And I don't really, we just kind of talk about those at cursory. I don't talk about views. We'll mention them and discuss them, but I don't show you the guys the code because it's not something that's necessarily part of what we do here. But we'll talk about them a little bit. They're kind of cool. But like I said, the last 3 weeks, weeks 8, 9, and 10 are all database design stuff. That's really the more interesting thing. I mean, if you guys want to learn how to code, just get a book. Go on YouTube. There's 1,000 ways to learn to code. I learned to code on my own. I started my life as a drama teacher, and then I wanted to get paid I wanted to get paid money and not, in thanks. But thanks are good, but money's better. And so I just taught myself how to develop SQL. I taught myself to write C#. It's not difficult. The challenge comes in when you're trying to design things, when you're trying to see how things work and flow and ebb and everything, and how this gets made. Because this took me a long time to figure out how to design them, so they wouldn't blow up every time you did something to them. So again, cautionary tale. Oh, you can see that I'm not wearing a tie. I gotta duck down a little bit more just to fix that.
After you forward engineer,
Mhm.
you have to do that again after you update. Like if you come in and update any of these tables or add anything, you have
Yes.
to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you if you change anything along the way, you got to re-forward engineer it. I think you can actually, you can, if you want to, just pick the one thing that you changed, but it's just easier to do the whole thing, so you're not cutting and pasting in. So if I suddenly realize, oh wait, I need something, I don't want to do this here, I want to change something, I got to just recreate the script. So
So quick comment on, you said there's like, we have to kind of experiment with it. Do you said you want that in writing, or do you want us to actually like put mock data in the database and then do something with it?
So, so what I would say is you create the case studies first, and then you need to put mock data in there. Because so when I grade this, you send your project to me. The first thing I'll do is I'll look at the ERD. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. I like it. And then I'll grade the ERD. And then I'll take the code that you sent me to create the database, and I will create the database in my SQL environment, and it'll work. I'm like, that's awesome. And then I'll say, okay, let's input some data. I'll take this stuff you said for data, and I'll run it, and it'll work perfectly, and I won't have to fix anything. I'm like, that's brilliant. These guys are great. And then I'll look at the case studies. I'm like, oh, okay. Thomas has this case study that does that. Let's run this. It worked. Oh my gosh, there's the data. Exactly what I said it would be. This was a brilliant case, and I'll grade that. And then I'll take a quick look at the mock-up, and then I'll watch a PowerPoint presentation. The PowerPoint, just so you know, I don't really put a lot of all the things I have to grade. I don't put a lot of weight on the mock-up. I don't really care if you. I have to do it as part of the process, so you understand. I need to know that you understand how a front end connects to the back end. So what I would do is, like, if I were making a front end for this, I would if it was me, I would open MS Paint, because that's my go-to, because it's free. I like free. And I would go here, okay, I'm gonna draw a box. There's my screen. And then put another little box here. Nope, stop that. Go away. Thank you. I'm gonna put another little box here. And I'm gonna put a little box here. And I'm gonna put a big box here. And I'm gonna call this box. Wow, that's huge. Let's see. Teacher name. All right, so I do that, and let me take this and move this where I want it to be. That's not what I wanted. Thank you very much. Please give me this. Thank you. And we'll take this and we'll put this over it. And no. Okay, we'll put you over there. And then I'm gonna put here text. I'm gonna do subject. And then we're gonna do this here. And move it. Wow, this is working really well. There we are. Subject over there. And then these are gonna be drop down menus. I'm gonna pull a little arrow going down just right there. There you go. Look at that. I mean, drop down menus. And then I know that if I look at my back end over here, this connects to here, this connects to here, and the result of the query is going to go here. And that is my mock-up of how the front end works. That is all I need to know, that you have that much sense when it comes to how a front end works. And this is pretty much, you know, because I've lived so much in the back end of the databases, this is pretty much where my knowledge lives. I don't do front ends. I don't do pretty. I do practical and effective, which, you know, it's a thing. So there's that. Go away. Thank you. And if you want to do it, the only reason I wouldn't do it on crayon and colored paper, because that would require me to scan something in, and that's way too much work. So that's just who I am. So, and then the PowerPoint, and the reason I did the PowerPoint, I prefer a video because it's easier for me to deal with than flipping through. PowerPoint is it's death by slides. But if you just do a quick video, I just need to know what you're talking about. I need to know, just walk me through your ERD. Here's what it is, and here's why it's here, and here's why I did this way. Show me your case studies, why you thought those out. That's great stuff. It's really just you understand that if we were in a classroom, you would be presenting in front of the class the last week of school. We would have everyone get up in front of class and do this in front of everybody. So that's kind of what this mimics in that world. Yeah. So next week, case statements. I love case statements, are a lot of fun. They're not as fun as joins, but they're up there. Top 10 coolest clauses in SQL. And then more of this, and then 8, 9, and 10, all about database design, the ERDs, And then you guys are off to the races on your projects. Oh shoot, is it week 6? I got to get in there and delete before you get the VI stuff. Oh, if anyone takes their quiz and says anything about VI, just let me know. It's week 6 is when this happens. The VI editor. There are about 24 questions about VI editor, and it's not mentioned anywhere. It's like in the sealed books of the Book of Mormon, the ones that we don't have access to. That's where VI editor is. We don't talk about that, and we don't talk about Bruno. So I got to get to that before anyone takes the quiz and delete that. But if you see them, just let me know, and I'll give you the grades of the questions on that. I'll up your grade for that. But I can't get them to delete those stupid VI editor questions. Anyway, and
I had a question about that quiz actually.
oh yeah,
It uses Proctorio, and that's scary. Why is it doing that?
No, don't use it. It's a lie.
Oh,
It
okay.
hasn't changed it. The reason why we did the week 2 videos is so we didn't have to use Proctorio.
Oh, okay.
Proctorio, I don't care what they say. It's malware. It is absolute malware. It's there to destroy your computer. Anyone tells you different works for Proctorio, and they're trying to sell you Proctorio. I personally hate it. President Eyring, if you're watching this video for some reason, I apologize, but I personally hate it. Focus on the fact that I'm not wearing a tie. Be mad about that. Don't mad when I say Proctorio. But no, it is not a thing. And I should have mentioned that in the announcement, but I mean, I have 2 classes I have about 50 some odd students, and probably 10 of you read the announcements. So no one ever uses it. I think if you try to, they'll just turn you away. But yeah, don't use it. Don't install it. Just ignore it. So, but thanks for bringing that up.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So just
Hey,
take the quiz without
yep.
activating Proctorio or anything.
Nope, don't activate Proctorio.
Okay.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not activate Proctorio.
Yep.
It is a dark evil thing.
Yeah,
But I
use
don't
it.
think I'm being very clear on how much I don't like it, but I'm trying.
We had to use it for our government class.
I'm so sorry.
And they make you put your driver's license up and take a picture of your driver's license.
Yeah.
Oh, it's miserable.
I took a lot of Microsoft exams where I'd have to go into a room and like hold my ID to the camera and smile and wave, and so it was
Painful.
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, really, if you're going to hire someone to take a test in this class, you have more money than sense anyway, so it's fine. I mean, and again, it's open books, open notes, open friends, open phone. You know, you could call me and I'll give you the answers. And I have in the past. You know, I've been on like someone's texting me, hey, what's the answer to this one? It's B, go ahead. You know, so who cares? Why would Proctorio even make sense to use for this? Because this isn't a monitored test. It's not like we're important. It's not like you know, cheating isn't allowed. Cheating, I don't want to say cheating is encouraged. That's not the wrong phrase, but it's like, you know, use everything because. And here's the thing, and I'm just getting on the soapbox here. If you're real worlding this and you've got a problem, you're going to call everybody you know to fix that problem. You're going to go to Google. You're going to go to Twitter. Don't go to Twitter. You're going to go to Reddit. You're going to go to whatever it is. You're going to phone a friend. You're going to call Microsoft. You're going to call Oracle. You're going to call, you know, Bob from accounting. I don't know who you're going to call. You're going to call everybody to find the answer to this. You're
Jake
not going to be
from
sitting there.
State Farm.
Yeah. So funny story real quick. My wife was in a car accident the other day, and the guy from Allstate, his name was Jake.
No.
And it was Jake from Allstate. And I said, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm sure everyone asks you this. I said, didn't you use work for State Farm? He's like, oh, you're the first one to ask me that. I'm like, really? He's like, no. I'm like, I had to Jake from Allstate. And when I call him and I talk to him, I call him Jake from Allstate. Hey, Jake from Allstate. I mean, his real name is Jacob, and he could go by Jacob. I know he's doing it on purpose just for the laughs. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so digress. Okay. So we're at time. Any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on this stuff? Everyone feeling good about this? Emery, you get your questions answered? All right. Don't worry about layers unless they're cakes. The only
Did
thing
you
that's
send
layers that
the-
matters is
Did you send a list of like all the requirements for the final project?
it's in one of the announcements.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in one of the announcements. I think it's at the week, maybe week 3 or 4. If it's not there, I'll double check. If it's not there, I'll put it again. But it's there. Or maybe I'll just add it to this one again, just for fun. But yeah, I'll make a note to add add project requirements. Okay, I should put it. I'll put it into this week's announcement that has this video attached to it. All
I do
right,
have one question. I'm sorry.
go ahead. You look
Or-
very. You just look very stressed. You're like, oh. So
I'm tired. Okay.
I'm with you. I got up at 4:30 this morning. I got
Oh.
2 kids in seminary. I got to get them to school.
Is the teacher has course only named that because you connected the course and the teacher first? Like, could it have been teacher has class period?
Yeah, it would have been. It would have. Well, it wouldn't have been teacher as class. It wouldn't have been teacher as class period. Because I didn't. These are the tables for that join, right? And so since I did teacher first and then course, it was here. If I did course first and then teacher, the table would have been called course has teacher. The class period is just there's not this is a many-to-many table between these two tables. Everything else is just a foreign key separate, right?
They all have the same lines though, and that's confusing to me.
Yeah, it's if you look at it, so you gotta look at what's in the table here, right? So the first one here is teacher ID and course ID. So these are the two that these are the two that created that table, right? And I get what you're saying there because this is a one-to-many and this is these are all one-to-many relationships coming into this table, right? But because when this table was created, when I grab this sucker here and click this and then that's why it's called teacher as course.
It auto generated that name.
Yeah,
didn't it?
it all yeah. If I had done this first, then that would have been course as teacher.
Okay.
So it just didn't. And you can go and change that to whatever you want to. You can change it. It's not married to the name, right? But that's why it was generated that way. When I'm just for here, I just did a single foreign key from class period to this. So the table was already created when I made this. When I made this link. This one's called teacher has course has student because I click this one first and then this one. So that's why that is. I really don't. This worked out with only 2 many-to-many join tables. That's interesting. I don't understand that. I'll get one that's more complicated next time. But yeah, so it just names it based on what you click first, what you click second. For like the first 2 years I was teaching this, I didn't realize this thing even existed because I was always working like this and I just saw these. And then one of my students said, scroll down. I'm like, oh, wow, that's amazing. That was life-changing right there because I was just doing the joins on my own. And the fact that it created the table, I'm like, where have you been all my life? So, all right. Everyone good? All right. Yeah, I some people I'm still section 12 is still to be graded, section 4 is graded, so I still got some grading for a lot to catch up with, and that'll be done tomorrow hopefully. And then a couple people talked to me about the quizzes last week they got to fix, so I got to do those, and I'll try to get the quiz 6 so you don't see the VI editor questions. Other than that, I think we're good for the day, and I'll see you guys next week when we're talking about case statements. We'll leave it on a cliffhanger. Case statements next week. All right.
Bum, bum, bum.
You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.